Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's episode was recorded on April the 11th, 2023. I'm your host, gaming psychologist, and with me, as always, chasing me with a garden hose and a broom.
Caffeine Rage, and you make it sound like so much of a sexier Tom.
I know. You're just trying to get me off your lawn. On today's episode, we will, of course, be discussing some games which we have played. The Resident Evil 4 Remake has added microtransactions to upgrade weapons quicker. And we've got several articles as part of our community corner. The ones that we mentioned last week but had to shy away from, which are Dark and Darker has been removed from Steam following a cease and desist demand. E3 is dead for good. Arc 2 is delayed, so they're turning off Survival Evolved's official servers and charging $50 for a remaster. And a new one this week, Monster Energy targets indie game in latest trademark lawsuit. Timestamps will be in the show notes following their respective topics. Hello, Rage.
Hello.
How are you?
Caffeinated.
That's good. I am primered. I'm sitting here with a bunch of minis, combination of some 3D printed stuff and then a batch of BattleTech minis, and I'm priming all of them tonight while we record. That's my caffeine for the evening.
Fascinating.
Indeed. So people love axolotls. That like me talking about this reminded me.
Yeah, Anita absolutely loves them, but then again, our favorite Pokemon is based off of one. So
yeah, so I one of the things I do with my 3D printer is I make stuff for my clients. I use it as like a little reward for my younger clients. It's like, hey, if you can complete all of your homework and finish this booklet and, maybe like if they're having behavior problems at school, it's like, okay, if you can bring me a report from your teacher that says, you were good or whatever, then I'll make you something and give it to you. I'll make you whatever you want.
Yeah, it's not it's not an axolotl, right?
Well, an axolotl. I see what you did there. I think. Either that or I'm assuming you did something that you didn't. But anyways, I use it for that, and I will give it to some of the clients that we work with. Give stuff to clients that we work with in the assisted living homes. Just because, unfortunately, they don't have a lot of stuff, and a little cute decoration can go a long way to help make them feel a little better, more valued, and whatnot. And axolotl is the most requested thing. I have made, in total, 8 of them for people, and I just have said, fuck it. I'm just gonna, I did mocked up a new print that has as many of them as possible that I could fit onto the build plate. And I'm just going to run them in batches. And then whenever people don't want them anymore, I'll just have a whole bunch of axolotls to add to my collection of narwhals. I can have 2 things.
Well, I have a request then.
Okay.
Hang on. I'm going to drop it in Discord.
Okay.
I want a roxolotl.
Oh, god damn. Okay.
And I'm mostly joking about that one.
You're going to forget about this, and Christmas / your birthday is going to roll around, and you're in your Christmas gift this year, you're going to get a box. And I've already got one Christmas present for you, actually, that I found. And I'm just going to sit on it all year.
Should I be worried?
No, it's good. You'll like it, I think. I mean, at least it's a genuine present. It's not like, well, it's kind of dumb, but it's not like a gag gift or something. It's not weird. It's something that I think you'll like. And I saw it on a thrifting trip, so I bought it. But
now I've mentioned the roxolotl.
You're gonna have a roxolotl, yeah. So,
well, I have a slug. It's not a rock slug. I don't know what it is with the rock head on random things. It's like an entire subdivision of Etsy. And one time I went on a deep rabbit hole, and it gets weird.
I would believe that.
And I was just wondering if there was a rock with an axolotl body. It turns out there is. Because of course there is.
Yeah. I mean, it is the internet. You can get anything you want. And if you don't see anything you want, you can, and you don't know how to do it yourself, you can pay somebody to get you anything you want.
I mean, the other option is, of course, Waluigi Crucifix.
Okay.
What, you didn't know that was a thing?
No, I did not.
I found this on my same deep dive into random 3D printed shit.
I I'm I need this in my life. I'm gonna wear it. I'm gonna put it on a chain. I'm gonna wear it around, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, Jesus!" And then I'm gonna flip it around, and it's wow. That's one day someone's gonna shoot me.
There you go.
Waluigi on the cross, he wad for our sins.
And it's from Thingiverse because, right?
Yeah. Most of the stuff that I get is from Thingiverse, but there are a couple other really big ones. Thingiverse has got, I think, the most free stuff, but finding like premium models or people who will do small custom changes to models. There's one called trademark.
Oh, I love this. It's on the same page of the art for me as the Waluigi Crucifix.
Yeah.
It's the middle finger Easter egg. It's an Easter egg, you open it up and it's just flipping you off.
Nice. Colts. It's called Colts. I don't know why I thought it was called Curse, whatever. But Colts is the other one that I find a lot of stuff on. I found an optical illusion today, and unfortunately it says hot dang instead of hot damn, but it's like one way, you turn it one way and it's like hot with a like HAWT, and then you turn it the other way and it says dang. And it's like an optical illusion. It's pretty cool. I'm gonna print off one of those and sit it on my desk at work.
So, speaking of printing things, should we print some games?
Sure. That segue doesn't quite work, but we've done worse, so carry on.
Yeah, so I'm guessing I'll do one, you do one?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, so there's going to be a slight theme on mine tonight. Well, you'll see if you can pick it up over the course of the night on my two games, but we'll see. So my first one is Forza Horizon 5 Hot Wheels. Leading the way, as they do. So this is the expansion to Forza Horizon 5 that takes place in the sky above Mexico for reasons, right?
Of course.
And I never played any of the expansions for the previous Forza Horizon that I played. For Forza Horizon 4, as those may have guessed. So I did not know what to expect going into this. And I actually really enjoyed this. I would say that this is one of the better Hot Wheels style games I've played. And this is including playing the, was it 2022 Hot Wheels game?
The official one that's full of microtransactions.
A bunch of DLC, and also its entire progression is based off of loot boxes, essentially. Which, I mean, I'm just looking at it. Holy shit! I had to go back and look, and I realized that there's going to be some crossover because there's expansions and stuff as well, and passes. But the official Hot Wheels game has $267 of DLC, right?
Damn, that's a lot.
I mean, I'm assuming that some of these are like double dipping, like one's an expansion pack or pack for cars, and then they sell them separately. I hope, but even then, right? So, which Forza Horizon 5, it also is its progression is based off of loot boxes, but you also get them so often that it's doesn't matter that much. And you get the in-game currency where you can just buy shit anyway. So, alright.
Yeah, and pretty soon you get a rather large collection of cars, and then it doesn't matter. I don't think.
Anyway, this expansion is not rated very well, and I think part of the reason, and I do agree with this one, is that it feels very much like a commercial, where the story, quote unquote, the story progression, whatever you want to call it, is feels very much like a commercial, where it's basically going into kind of extreme depth of the history of Hot Wheels and feels like an infomercial for Hot Wheels. But at the same time, it's a very small portion of the content, while most of it is just riding around on giant orange plastic tracks in the sky, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely understand why people don't like this expansion as much, because it's feels like a commercial. But I asked you about the Lego one. It was essentially the same thing, where it felt like a commercial for Lego in Forza Horizon 4, right?
Yep. I mean, the whole thing, just a super brief rundown of the Lego expansion for Forza Horizon 4. You go to a Lego island where everything houses, except for like the roads, but houses, trees, plants, people, Lego cars, like, everything's made of Lego. And you do get some history of Legos, and there's some like modern stuff with the Lego Speed series, which 3 of your cars come from. And the entire progression in that is, doing the races and finding and collecting all of the special Lego bricks to build your giant Lego house.
Yeah, so the world on this one, it's essentially like, I want to say 4 or 5 like floating islands. And then everything is connected via a spaghetti nightmare of Hot Wheels tracks. Basically, think of the conveyor belts in My Satisfactory Factory. Just convert those to Hot Wheels tracks, and there you go, right?
Right.
And they get rather extreme. Yeah, some very high banking turns. There's a few specialized track pieces, or like mini biomes. Like there's ice tracks. There's like one section that's a giant half pipe. A few loop-de-loops, that sort of thing. And I definitely understand why some people would be upset about it being very samey, but it's essentially the basic idea of like street racing in the base game. It's, to me, it's very comparable, where if you're upset about how much on-track racing is in the expansion, there's just so much on-track racing in the base game that doesn't really bother me, really. There's a few things that goes off track and onto like the floating islands, and some of them are rather expansive, but that's kind of the main onus of it. And the progression of this expansion, it starts off locking you out of everything above B-class cars, I believe. And the progression is, as you complete missions or do certain things on the essentially mission board that you're given medals, and after you collect enough medals, it unlocks the expedition to start the next rank up. So do all the main missions on every rank is enough to give you the rank up, or you could go off and do other mini things. And a lot of the mini things are also retroactive. So, like discovering the Hot Wheels dragons, for example. There's 3 on the map on essentially the 3 main islands. And discovering those just by driving past, whenever that milestone pops up later on, it's retroactive, so you'll get those immediately. Or discovering so many roads, or holding a certain top speed or a certain speed for so long. Little mini missions that you could do, honestly, during the main ones as well, which a lot of them are either races, point to point in a time trial, like getting from the main camp to like the dragon in the north in so many in a minute or something. Not the exact mission, but an example of that.
Right.
Finding some of the collectibles. There's like, it's not the regular pinata, but it's a different one. And they're hidden around the map. There's also some bonus XP boards that's hidden around the map. smashing enough for those as another milestone or another mini milestone, that sort of thing. So doing those all collects up to get essentially the big event to unlock the next rank up. And I found all the main events fairly simple to get past. So it was just, work up, unlock the next class, work up again, get the next class. And it goes all the way up to X class. And by that point, you're familiar enough with the tracks that you could get a feel for it. And I actually really enjoyed it. I mean, it was well worth the 50 cents I spent on the expansion. I guess I should
to be clear. I was going to say, you should clarify that.
Yeah, so I cashed in some Microsoft points, Microsoft reward points, for a gift card. And the expansion in the end cost me like 50 cents. It's normally, $15?
I'm not sure. I can go look real quick if you want me to.
I'm just double checking myself. But, sorry, $20. I would say it's worth the $20, but also know what you're getting into because there's a lot of, like I said, track racing. And if you really push it and laser focus on it, you can get through the races in a very short amount of time. But there's a lot of optional side objectives as well.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it's on sale right now for $15. Normally it's 20. It's on sale for 15. Okay. That might be part of the launch of the other expansion because didn't the other expansion just come out?
We'll see about that.
Yeah, it released on the 29th. But anyways.
And also, as you progress through, you get a bunch of iconic Hot Wheels cars. And like I said, there's enough there to keep you busy for a while.
Yeah.
And also, it does tie into the base game as well, where the Forzathon weekly events, if you get past, if you unlock the S1 class, it gives 2 more events that you can do in the Forzathon. So you don't have to fuck with people fucking up the trial.
Yeah, fucking assholes. I probably would have bought that this month if I hadn't wrecked my car on Monday, which I think we talked about in stuff that's going to be Franken content.
Yeah.
But I got to dedicate all my funds to...
Doe, a deer, a goddamn deer.
Ray, oh, why does this cost so fucking much? Me, God help, God please help me. Pay for all this fucking schmutz.
All
right, I'm done.
Sorry. Are we doing the musical version now?
No, nobody wants to hear that. Especially me. Nobody, especially my musical talent. I already make them listen to me enough. No, I won't torture them like that.
And I will say that the Hot Wheels expansion does one other thing that is rather nice, where the track could twist around and go kind of crazy. They also have like a tilt indicator in the middle of the screen, so if you get motion sick with it, you just kind of laser focus on that to try to have this like steady portion of the screen while shit is going crazy.
It's nice.
So yeah, know what you're getting into with the Hot Wheels expansion, but it's intriguing. Worth the 50 cents.
Well worth the 50 cents. So, I have 2 games this week. The first of mine is kind of piggybacking off of last week. Because last week, I talked about Project Wingman. Mm-hmm. Every couple of years, I'll play at least some, if not all, of the Ace Combat games that are easily accessible on PC and run well. And I've just kind of included Project Wingman as part of that now. It is a spiritual successor to Ace Combat. But upon playing Project Wingman, one of the people in my tabletop group saw me playing and was like, hey, is that game any good? I like Ace Combat, etc., etc. And he has Ace Combat 7 on PC. And Ace Combat 7 has an online multiplayer mode that is still, at least on PC, working. Because it just uses Steam's multiplayer stuff. Their I don't know. I was going to say servers, but that's not quite correct, I don't think. Because doesn't Steam just facilitate peer-to-peer multiplayer games?
Pretty much.
But I mean, it uses Steamworks, I think is what it's called, to make that happen. So you can still play the multiplayer mode. And in order to play it, you have to do a couple of missions and rank up with like the starter stuff. Mercifully, if you've played the campaign, everything that you unlock from the campaign, as soon as you do your first couple of multiplayer missions and kind of unlock all of the multiplayer features, gets carried over. The multiplayer mode is okay. The community is extremely tiny. If you want to play a every man for himself kind of just dogfighting mode, that you can get into pretty easily. You only need 4 players to start one. It does a lot of sort of power, I guess you could say leveling, to make it to where that if someone shows up with like the super duper in-game plane, they don't just instantly murderize everybody else. You can't bring in any special weapons. You just have your gun and the Ace Combat standard missiles.
Or you bring Maverick.
Yeah. Yes, or you could bring Maverick. There is a, I don't know if you're joking or if you're being serious, there is a Top Gun.
I wasn't joking. I saw the Top Gun Maverick DLC.
Yeah,
There's
which is what I was going to
DLC
mention. There is a lot of DLC for this. Thankfully, you don't need any of the DLC to play multiplayer. The single player DLC is pretty good. It's an entire second. It's shorter, but it's an entire second campaign that you can play through. But anyways, so it does some sort of power leveling. There's no special weapons. You only get the machine gun and missiles for your planes. You get a limited number of flares, and then you just dogfight. And it's, like I said, minimum of 4 people. But if you've got 4 people, you can start a match. And every time I tried to play by myself over the weekend, which was 3 or 4 times, I could get into one of those games easily every time. And it doesn't seem to fill them with bots. If it is filling them with bots, the bots are very good and play like people or cheat real hard. But I found myself being competitive, having only the single player stuff. There are some specific multiplayer things you can unlock, but generally speaking, you're competitive with the standard single player stuff. Then there's other modes. There's team deathmatch modes. There's a team objective mode where that you run essentially score attack missions where that it's attack and defend, and the attacking team tries to rack up as many points as possible in an amount of time that you can decide. It's like, I think the minimum is 3 minutes and the maximum is 10. And then you swap sides. And whichever team has the highest score wins. And so the defending team is trying to, shoot down the attacking team, and the attacking team is trying to wipe out as many objectives as possible. And then, like I said, team deathmatch. Then there are some kind of special modes where that it's like there's a sort of a King of the Hill kind of mode where that there's one person who's like the ace. You have to shoot down the ace, and you get bonus points if you shoot down the ace. And then when you shoot down the ace, you become the ace. So everyone's trying to kill you, and you get a little more powerful. There's one other mode. Oh, you can do what's called free mission mode, where you can just fly around with your friends, or I guess random strangers. And you start with just the 2 deathmatch modes, every man for himself and team deathmatch. And then after about 3 missions, no matter kind of how many points you get, you unlock the rest of the features. So you can have up to 5 aircraft ready to go at any time that you can hot swap in the middle of most of the multiplayer games. At least as far as I can tell. I didn't play all of them. I couldn't play all of them because I couldn't find enough people online to play the team objective mode. It does make you have 8 people for team objective. Team deathmatch, you can do it with just 4, 2 aside, but the objective mode requires all 8. So, but anyways, you can have up to 5 planes readied with special weapons, camouflages and paint schemes that you unlock during the campaign, emblems. You can customize your call sign and a bunch of other kind of pilot related stuff that you would expect to be able to do. It's there.
Buzz the tower?
Yep, you can buzz a tower if you want to on some maps. There are a couple of urban maps, Most of them are like...
It doesn't count if you don't make your commanding officer spill his coffee all over himself.
Right, that one's worth uber mega bonus points. But, it's Ace Combat in multiplayer mode. It's come a long way from the older Ace Combat multiplayers that I have played. There is one Ace Combat game that is unplayable because it was a multiplayer, free-to-play, multiplayer-only game. And what I have heard is that its multiplayer, or that game became the multiplayer for Ace Combat 7 with a few tweaks to, like, there's no microtransactions.
Yeah.
Yet, I guess the game is very old. I know it happens, but I just can't see them adding microtransactions to it. There's not enough players there. And I don't think you can play...
Yeah, but there's money on the table.
I suppose. But I don't even think the multiplayer works in the console versions. I'm not 100% sure on that, but...
Oh, they'll sell it to them.
So yeah, I don't have as much to say about it as you had to say about Forza, and as I don't think you'll have to say about your next game, but... it's pretty solid. If you've got, don't buy Ace Combat 7 just for the multiplayer, but if you've got it kicking around and you're looking to do some, quick, easy, dogfighting, you can get in there.
Woo.
Yep. All right, you're up.
Okay, so back to Forza.
Right.
So for the other 50 cents of that dollar, Forza Horizon 5 Rally Adventure, the other half of the DLC expansion packs. And I think this is my preferred one of the two. Although, I'm in a weird spot of, I like dirt racing, I like rally racing. So, when you look at the Steam's reviews of this, holy shit, there's a lot of negative reviews, and it's mostly because people buy into the expansion pack and are upset that it's rally racing. Because, right?
It sounds like, I haven't played this one either, but listening to you talk about it, it sounds like most people were expecting what Forza Horizon 5 originally called its dirt/rally racing, which is at best rally cross, which is cool, but not real rally racing.
We don't want to fall into the no true Scotsman, but...
I know, but that's, I think what I'm trying to say is they were expecting more of that. And that is not what they got. They got more traditional rally racing. Maybe that's a better way to say what I'm trying to say.
Well, okay, so both the expansion packs, Hot Wheels and this one, are on a smaller map. This one is about a quarter the size of the base game map. But it doesn't suffer from something that the base game map has in droves, which is, hold down the accelerator and the next turn is in about 2 miles. Especially whenever a race starts anywhere near the interstate or a highway in Forza Horizon 5. All the tracks, I should get into there's 3 different modes, essentially. There's a nighttime rally cross mode, where it's mixed surface, dirt and tarmac, much like the dirt racing in... dirt, sarcasm quotes, in Horizon. There's, I don't want to say completely dedicated dirt. There are times that it'll, cross a paved road, or it'll go through a small section of a paved road to get to the dirt, to another section of dirt. But far more dirt racing than what Horizon has. And then there's dedicated paved road racing. Each one is their own team and has their own progression, sort of like how the Hot Wheels does it, only it's not locked off to certain classes of cars. Instead, you get a couple races, and then as you progress up through the team, it unlocks more stuff, more like PR events, the speed traps, the drift zones, that sort of thing, on top of 1 or 2 races. And once you get a certain rank with one team, the first team that you pick, which is of your choice, it unlocks a choice of a second team, which gives a second progression set. And then once you unlock the third team, once you get to rank 8 in all the teams, it unlocks the Badlands Goliath, which is like the in-game race. It feels a lot more concentrated, but it's also, there's different modes for the races. There's a rally mode, which is time trials call out from a co-driver in a helicopter, giving you a heads up of what's coming up. Although you can disable the voiceover for it, because there is a mini-map, there is driveline, so it's not as required as a dedicated rally game. And then there's just a race mode where all the tracks that support just a normal race mode as well, which is nice. And I mentioned that the map is a lot smaller, and it's also a lot more technical. And I think that's also part of some of the bad reviews, is that there's a lot of turns that are like off camber instead of like the Hot Wheels track, where you have a big sweeping turn and the track tilts up to allow you to get more downforce. And even in Forza Horizon space maps on dirt racing, whenever you're going into a tight turn, the game kind of has the ruts where you could dig down and hug the turn. Well, this has off camber, where the car is like tilting out of the turn, and it makes some of the races more technical than what they would really appear. And I think that's thrown some people. The helicopter itself has also pissed off a few people, which I could definitely see on some of the races, because it can get in the way at times. But yeah, I mean, it's solid dirt racing, which is nice to see. It does feel a little short. There's only 8 races or 8 tracks per team. So, right?
Yeah.
But we're also looking at, Horizon 5 is big on community-made content. And there's already quite a few longer, more technical races in the event lab. So there is that. Once again, like the Hot Wheels tracks, or the Hot Wheels expansion, just because you've completed the final race doesn't mean that you completed all the content. There's a lot that I haven't done, and a lot that I haven't unlocked yet, just because I haven't gone through and done all like the little side missions. Rally Adventure is a little bit more egregious on this than Hot Wheels, but both of them love to constantly throw the next challenge up and change your waypoints if you're not careful. So that is a little bit of a negative mark in my opinion, but not enough to say, oh yeah, this expansion should burn in hell, like some of the reviews are saying here.
Yeah.
It doesn't give as many cars as the Hot Wheels expansion, and a couple of the cars are electric, which angers some people because it doesn't make big motor noises. I guess they're going to have to do that themselves now, huh?
Right. These two expansions seem pretty analogous to the ones from Forza 4 or Horizon 4. And Horizon 4 is, I don't know, I didn't play Horizon 3. It could have been analogous to the ones from Horizon 3. But, the Hot Wheels DLC feels very much like the Lego DLC. And the Rally DLC feels a lot like the Fortune Island DLC from Horizon 4. You go to a separate island. Now, the Fortune Island one added treasure hunting, which is in the base game of Horizon 5. But you go to a separate island. There's a series of racing discipline events that you kind of rank up one. And as you rank up one, you unlock another one. There weren't teams, but they were just sort of like different island events. And it's like, oh, you up your popularity on the island by completing some of these events. Now you unlock the next set of events.
Yeah, this one it's set by team. So doing individual races for a particular discipline will get you further with that team, but it doesn't progress you with the others. I went back and looked at Horizon 3's DLC. It actually had a Hot Wheels DLC. So, all right.
Yeah. I was
Uh,
familiar that it had a Hot Wheels
and the other
DLC,
one
but
is Blizzard Mountain, which is definitely not like this.
Blizzard Mountain.
Mhm.
Snow, I guess. Add
Yeah,
snow, and that could have been a weather thing. I don't know if Horizon 3 had different seasons.
I don't think it did. It looks like new weather types: it's heavy, light snow, blizzard, and gale. So yeah, quite different from the Rally Adventure. I mean, I definitely see if people bought into the expansion pass before they announced what's going down with it, can be disappointing with a more technical racing. Because if you take some high-end cars in some of these races, you're in for a really bad time.
Yeah, you can have way too much power.
Hmm.
I mean, you can have that in on-road racing as well, but it's much easier to have too much power in off-road racing.
I mean, that one race we did Sunday where, popped over the a jump.
And then you missed, flew off the track and missed the gate.
Because the runway was it was on pavement and I was on off-road tires, so just slam on the brakes and I just slide the entire way down because I was going too quickly. Because that particular truck had a lot of get up and go to it, so it's really easy to have a lot of or too much power for off-road racing, especially whenever they start throwing in stuff like deformable desert areas where if you're on a closed loop in the desert, the track could actually get worse there. And like I said, off-camber racing, some of the more crazy turns where it's like two or three uh, horseshoe turns and back to back. You know,
Yeah.
so I definitely see why people could be upset. But pretty much as soon as I saw this expansion, it's like I'm going to get this, and I realized I could cash in my Microsoft reward points, and right.
Yeah. So,
To me, this expansion was worth it. I would say it's probably worth it at full price, even though both expansions are fairly short. That's the big damning thing. But like I said, the big thing about Horizon 5 is their community content. So once you wade through all the absolute bullshit community content, because of course there is already some really good racing. There's a essentially like a mega Goliath that somebody's made for the Badlands that is like 3 times the length of the Goliath that's in the base or in the actual expansion. I did it with a S1 off-road car, and it took like 15-20 minutes.
damn, that's a really long race time for Horizon. Honestly, it's been a long time since Forza in general has had races that long, because they used to have Le Mans, and in Forza 2 they had endurance races, which had 24 hours of Le Mans, although it wasn't 24 hours. I think it was 7 hours that you raced, but
Mhm.
like 7 real life hours that you would race.
And no checkpoints.
No checkpoints. I mean, you could pause, so you've got kind of a checkpoint there. But if your game crashed, if the console power went out, whatever, 7 hours gone. And endurance racing disappeared after Forza 2. I was really sad. I liked the endurance races.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. Yeah, the Super Goliath. Uh, 21.5 miles. So yeah, right.
Yeah,
And I would say that uh, the Rally Adventures. I'll actually send you a link to the Super Goliath so you can take a look at it. Just look how twisty and turny this is. Uh, I would say it would probably be a good 25-30 minutes with a good B or A class,
nice.
which is honestly feels like the kind of the sweet spot for a lot of the rally adventure races. But then again, that's kind of my opinion of where the sweet spot is for off-road racing in general in Forza.
I mean, personally, I think sort of B and A class is the sweet spot for most racing in Forza.
Mm-hmm.
Forza Horizon, rather.
Yeah, although the trial is interesting whenever they throw you into D-class cars, and then there's some asshole.
Who keeps trying to wreck us instead of letting us pass. Clearly, the two of us were the best drivers on the human team in that trial, and that guy was mad about it.
Well, it's just that he sucked. I mean, he's probably one of those that got posts like half-hour long laps on Rivals dirty laps because he keeps ramming things.
Especially us, bastard. But
yeah, I would say Rally, if you like your off-road racing, is definitely worth at least a look.
yeah,
But be prepared for more technical racing. I mean, it's not like Dirt Rally. It's not going that crazy, but it's, in my opinion, tougher than the base game.
yeah. I do intend to get it soon. As soon as possible. I might just wind up buying it anyways before the sale ends. I've almost got my $10. For my Microsoft points, I've almost got enough to turn in for a $10 gift card or $10 worth of funds or whatever. So that would make me getting the Hot Wheels one for $5, and then paying, I think the Rally one is $17 with the Game Pass discount.
Yeah, see, I kind of looked into it before the Rally Adventure released. They were having a discount on the expansion pass itself, where it was $25. So I cashed him a $25 card, and essentially just paid the tax on it.
Yeah.
Which works out to like 40-50 cents per expansion.
Can you still buy the expansion pass?
Oh, yeah. It's just I don't think it's as good a deal as it was. That's why I was trying to push you to it, was that it was on sale before the expansion, before the second one came out.
Is it the
Horizon
premium add-ons bundle?
No, 5 expansions bundle. I can't see what the price is because I own it.
Let's see. Where are you? Expansions bundle. Like, I see here the
if you click on
premium add-ons bundle.
If you click on one of the expansions in the Xbox app, and you see included in, if you look at the blue one that the only one that doesn't show the actual screenshots of the DLCs.
All right, let me go look in the app because I'm looking on the Game Pass, or the Xbox quote unquote PC. Oops, Forza Horizon 5.
Looks like it's 30.
Is that on sale or
that's
price?
that's 40% off for, I think, Prime game, for not Prime, but Game Pass gaming.
Okay.
I ended up getting it for 25, but
yeah, I might do that. I might just buy that bundle, and while it's on sale, and then use my $10, gift card basically.
I think you'll enjoy the Hot Wheels one more, but that's because I'm the dirty racer.
I like rally racing, but that's more your thing,
Mm-hmm.
Your specialty is off road and my specialty is on, and when we race,
Which really screws me over with Forza Horizon 5 because off road race. Okay,
right?
the pavement's a little dusty today, so that counts.
Yeah, but and that shows when we race though. Like, certainly there are the exceptions here or there, or a really good race or a really bad race from one of us, but usually on any road race, I either lead the pack or just play a good teammate and stay right behind you, because it's it's against the AI and it's not worth it to accidentally fuck up.
And I usually have my car set to more acceleration, so I'll get ahead of you, and then right.
Yeah, but like if you were, if we weren't on the same team, or if you were an AI, like I would force a pass and then, I'd be gone, because I tend to make my cars more centered around handling.
Mm-hmm. But put me on dirt and I'm just gone.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about dirt racing, but it's like that idiot savant kicks in. It's like, okay, well, I can totally drive now. Talking about idiotic things, should we get to the news?
Well, I have one more game.
Oh, okay.
I'm done my second one. So my second game is continuing on my theme. It's called Nova Squadron. This was a demo. The game has not released yet, but I saw the developer on Twitter after looking up some stuff for Project Wingman. Like, it showed up in my Twitter recommended. And this is I was going to say sci-fi, and it is, but I think all of the Ace Combat games are sci-fi or have elements of sci-fi in them. But this is a, very clearly sci-fi from jump game. It is an Ace Combat style game. It's an arcade flight combat game. And it is in the far-flung future of like the 24th or the 25th century. And you are a pilot that serves in the defense force for I'm not sure if it's local colony or local corporation. That honestly was kind of unclear on Jupiter. There has been terraforming that has been happening, and it has a habitable atmosphere. And there are these huge floating cities and manufacturing and mining platforms that have been developed, and they do gas mining and send down like surface crawlers to the planet below. And it has some roguelite elements, and so you do runs, and there is a story, and at least for the demo, it only lets you do 4 missions, and then it resets. Like, it does a forced reset on the 4th mission. But essentially, when you die or finish the story, it does the roguelite reset, where that you take your resources from the run and can apply them to a permanent upgrades web tree. And the demo web tree of upgrades is pretty limited, so I don't know what's out on the farther ends of the tree. But things that are included are stuff like, you've got some pretty basic ones, plus 5% top speed, plus 2% handling, plus 1% HP, some stuff like that. But then there are weapon unlocks, there are jet unlocks, there are upgrades and unlocks for your squad. I guess your wing, technically. You're part of a group of 5 fighters that goes out on all of the missions. And the AI, in true Ace Combat fashion, is hot garbage. And they're usually only seem to be good for soaking up enemy fire. But there are some upgrades for them that make them a little bit better, making them stronger, giving them more health, stuff like that. And the map kind of always stays the same, at least in the demo, but the missions are randomized. So there's like a story mission, and then 2 random missions and a story mission, and that's the demo. In the randomized missions are, random, and can be, shoot down this group of enemies, or defend this airbase, destroy, this mining facility. Or there's one mission type that's a score attack, where it's like, just draw as many enemies to you as possible until we tell you to retreat, because you're serving as a distraction for another operation. Other than that sort of gameplay, roguelite gameplay sort of concession, the thing that sets this, I would say, the most apart from Ace Combat is the flight model. Your fighter is a futuristic sci-fi fighter that is a sort of, I would say, like a 6 degrees of freedom light type of thing. It tends to behave like an airplane, but it's got a couple of, not transformations, but the F-14 Tomcat, for example, has variable swept wings. Well, all of the control surfaces of this aircraft are, have a variable sweep to them, giving it different flight control methods. So you've got sort of standard jet, you've got a helicopter type attack mode, you've got a hover defense mode, and there are certain weapons that only work in certain modes, and certain weapons are more effective in certain modes, and it changes up the way that the aircraft controls, and changes up your speed, your handling characteristics. And it feels like that probably the tail end of the upgrade trees is going to be like some very special, powerful weapons or abilities while in the different flight modes. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's a solid little entry at the moment. Like if it released as is, but just essentially with all of its story content released, it feels like a really solid $10 to $15 game. There's no price tag listed for it. No idea what it's going to cost, but I would happily pay, 10, $15 for this game. I might pay 20 for it, depending on how much content is there, but it's definitely not as polished as, certainly not Ace Combat, but also not even as much as Project Wingman, which, as far as I can tell, was a similar sized development team and cycle. And they're doing something stylized, and I think it works, but it doesn't feel as polished or as sort of snappy as Project Wingman did. And it definitely is not as clean or smooth or well built as Ace Combat. So it's certainly not bad, but let's see how much how I would say appropriately they value the thing that they've created here. And that's my games.
That's all you gotta say about that?
That's all I've got to say about that. Lieutenant Dan, you ain't got no legs.
Yeah, but boy, do I have microtransactions.
Right? I'm gonna sip on my water here for a minute. So why don't you lead us into the news topic?
So, that remake of Resident Evil 4 that people have been kind of mixed on. After all the reviews have come out and all the media hype has died down, they added microtransactions to the game because, of course, they did.
Of course.
Okay, I should be upfront on this. I do not really have a horse in this race. I'm not a fan of the Resident Evil series by large, let alone I have nostalgia for Resident Evil 4. And you've only played a handful of them and didn't really get Resident Evil 4, right?
No, so I got into the Resident Evil series very late, and the ones that I like are the ones that most people say that they don't like, just because those are the ones I played first, so I had nothing to compare them to. And going back to play 4 after playing Resident Evil 5 and 6 in Raccoon City, I was like, I mean, it's okay, I guess. So I just kind of bounced off of it.
Yeah, so after everything died down, microtransactions were added to the game to allow the upgrading of weapons faster and unlock the final upgrades of each weapon because money, right?
Yeah. So, because fuck you, that's why.
Yeah. Each one of these, it's you're buying tickets to essentially bypass the requirements to get the final upgrade. And each one is it depends on which set you get, of course, because ranges from $3 all the way up to 10, depending on the which type of ticket you're getting, and also the how many of them you're getting, because of course, right?
Of course.
It just blows my mind. A single player only game has paid skip content pay to skip DLC, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that people are defending it, right? It's only kind of pay to win. No, it literally is pay to win. This type of thing used to be a cheat
codes.
Yeah. Now the cheat code is, instead of up, down, left, right, BA, it's swipe credit card. Swipe credit card again.
Put in your credit card number. What's your security code?
Well, what's your social security number? Well, while we're at it, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There you go.
I mean,
Jesus, what would you do if that was your social security number? That's probably like a blacked out number that somebody can't get.
I would hope so. But yeah, there's already a fair amount of cosmetic random DLC, which is already kind of but adding this on top of it is just
Yeah. I will say, for the most part, I don't care what people do with their games, single player or otherwise. Fuck it. It's especially if it's a game that you paid for. It's your game. You want to mod it. You want to cheat code it up. You want to buy them DLCs or whatever. Like, you do you, boo, I guess. But this is very clear exploitation
Mm-hmm.
of a younger generation of gamers that have been used to predatory practices like microtransactions and loot boxes and things like that. Like, this is just preying on those people who don't know any different or better.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I saw that there was any DLC, let alone this, saw one of the younger people that's on my friends list that I don't talk to, but right. I had bought in like $15 worth of the $10-15 worth of the tickets, and I just saw ticket. What's this? Right? Clicked on it and saw. Oh no! Right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a single player game, and it has $81 worth of DLC between the cosmetic stuff and now the tickets. Mind you, the base game is $60. So I don't know what the deluxe edition is, but that's still $70.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that's a good chunk of the costumes. So, right.
I'm so glad that I play games on PC, which gives me the most access to older games that don't have this shit, which gives me the most access to indie games.
And also cheat engine, so because a good chunk of this is just taking a flag somewhere in the game to say, okay, well, you have this.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that's talked about this online that literally just using a mod in game does the exact same thing as paying $10. But these kids don't know, right?
Yep. And I don't want this to sound like a save the children argument. I think lots of times those arguments are bullshit. This is definitely a exploitation by a corporation.
Mm-hmm.
It was capitalism all along is the sort of tag I would stick on this. And that's what all capitalism, but especially late stage capitalism does, is just exploit generations of people who don't know any better or haven't had the opportunity to see it for what it is and learn and grow.
And capitalism loves an ignorant consumer base.
Yep.
And we are on the bleeding edge. We're not the typical gamers because one, we're sitting here in the middle of the night talking about video games, right?
Right. We're making this podcast right now.
But we also are old enough to remember modding. We're old enough to remember the cheat codes and everything. So, we're not the target demographic of this. And it's partly on us to educate the populace, but at the same time, the ones that are really being exploited by this, they're not looking out for content like this. They're the ones that are saying, "Oh, that looks like a cool zombie game."
Yeah,
and it's not nothing against them because there's just so much information to go through. They might look at a review and see, "Oh, that's kind of neat," assuming that they even look at reviews, right?
Yeah,
and that's also part of the egregious timing of all this. Is that all the reviews are out now? They're done. Unless somebody's doing some sort of really deep dive into the differences between the original release and the re-release.
Which I'm sure there are people doing that, but like your average consumer doesn't watch those 30+ minute videos.
Yeah, so you're not going to catch people talking about, oh yeah, it also has some really shitty microtransactions in it because the reviews are out, they're done. Some sites might go put a update on that, but it's going to be the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, and it's one of those things of like the what is it? The lie gets round the world before the truth puts its pants on, or something like that. That like more people, more people will see the initial story by a long shot than will see the correction.
Mm-hmm. I
So
mean, the game has been out for 3 weeks, or re-release for 3 weeks. That big media blitz has been done for 2.
yeah,
And now all the review sites are on to their next big thing because that's what they live and die on, is trying to keep on that wave of the next big game coming out. We've got to get our content out for that.
gotta get hyped.
Even though I'm not 100% sure what the next big one is. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Popular upcoming. This is going to be fun. So, oh, hey, there's no Hitler on the popular upcoming. That's a nice change of pace.
Did you say there's no Hitler?
Yeah. What?
Was there a Hitler game
Oh, there's been Hitler games
in the
on
popular
Steam.
upcoming? Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
know, but was there one recently that I'm missing something on?
Like a month ago.
Oh. It
There's a
wasn't the
couple
Hitler
interest-
sex game, was it?
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting looking one. Multiplayer tactical space-based shooter. I'm sure that one's going to have a thriving multiplayer scene, right?
Yeah, for about 2 minutes.
Although it does have a little bit of a pedigree on its developer, but having an odd first-person shooter, you have to really sell that. I hate being so goddamn cynical, but it's the truth.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Well,
fuck Square Enix.
yep, fuck them.
And I'm hoping I'm grabbing the right developer out of thin air.
I mean, let's be real, though. Fuck them. Is it Square Enix? It's not Konami, is it?
Sorry, Capcom.
Capcom. Well,
but fuck Square Enix as well.
fuck Square Enix. Fuck Capcom. Fuck all of them.
And also fuck Konami.
Fuck Konami.
And then Pachinko.
I missed the fuck Konami news section from the Gymquisition. So, are you ready to move on?
Yeah. And I'll let you take lead on Dark and Darker.
Right.
Has been removed from Steam following a cease and desist demand.
Indeed. So, this is a story that has been developing for a little while. This isn't the first time that they have been mentioned in kind of some popular discourse, but they, I don't know if you would say they got big enough to be noticed, or if they, sort of pushed themselves out there enough to be noticed. But Dark and Darker, I guess if you don't know, is a Korean developed, or a game being developed by a Korean company that is using, it's believed or alleged that they're using animations, like frame for frame animations from Elden Ring. Is it Elden Ring specifically, or is it just from the Souls born universe of games?
I thought this was the just general company data and assets. I didn't think it was particularly animations, but I could have misread that one.
Well, it's also possible that I'm conflating this with another company.
I think you're conflating it with another company, I believe.
Okay, well then let's walk this back a second. So, let's see.
The articles that we have, it doesn't say exactly what it is. That's the annoying part. Is that
one of the articles is called "The Legal Dispute Gets More and More Confusing."
Mm-hmm. Dark and Darker developer uses Chat GPT AI tool in bid to prove that it hasn't infringed on copyright. Because, right?
Yeah.
But basically part of it is an alleged, essentially, plot outline that they claim was stolen. And they used Chat GPT to show that the entire outline is so generic that an AI bot can generate it. Which doesn't say much for their game when you think about it.
Yeah. Or maybe it doesn't say much for the genre, kind of those tropes.
Yeah, it's essentially, this is a dungeon crawler, and there's so many trope for trope beats that they use Chat GDP to just generate essentially the plot of the game, or to show that the AI could generate it. Which, just because it could doesn't mean, right?
Yeah.
That it should, or let's leave that to Ubisoft. Which that was another thing that Ubisoft has been talking about, using AI to generate their dialogue, because of course.
Yep. There's a possibility too that this the news article is sort of a personal vendetta. There was a company split. That's what this one is. So there's a company split. Mm-hmm. The accusation is that the people who left the parent company basically took the game that they were working on and used it as the skeleton for their game. And so that's why they're saying that, like, oh, look, this is so generic, we can generate it with Chat GPT, because, they're trying to claim we took their thing, but we didn't. But there was some bad blood between the developers who left. I'm paraphrasing from one of the articles, but there was some bad blood between some of the developers who left and then some people from the parent company. And where is it here? Before his departure from Nexon, the former employee reportedly said he'd likely pursue a project in the same genre, but he explicitly clarified any developments would be made completely from scratch. As a company, we don't have a lot of money, whereas our former employers do. It feels like they're trying to bury us in court. Mm-hmm. We don't have infinite money to fight them, but we're not going to let them bully us. So possibly there's some kind of bad blood or feud going on here. That's speculation, both on my part and the articles. But they're being accused essentially of copying a game wholesale, so intellectual property theft. And they're being sued over that. But I mean, that's just vague enough. It's like, well, you're stealing our ideas. It's like, well, an AI can steal your ideas. Like, what do you mean?
Right.
I don't know. This whole thing feels like bullshit to me. No matter what. Like, I don't feel like there's a good guy here. I feel like there's...
Yeah, it's so muddy, and there's so many vague accusations thrown back and forth that it's tough to really pick apart, really... First of all, what the hell is going on? And second of all, who the asshole is. But it's possible that both sides are assholes, because, let's be honest.
Yeah. I feel like this is a case that's going to wind up being settled outside of court. I could be wrong, but, either the smaller developers are going to run out of money, or the bigger developers are just going to get tired of it and, kind of settle, pay for some damages, lost time, all that jazz, so that they don't get, taken to court again. And then they'll just all move on. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's how a lot of these cases tend to wind up.
Yeah, so. I have a feeling it's going to be the same way where, assuming if we hear any resolution, and it's just not, quietly settled, it's just going to be, we settled out of court, and that's going to be the end of it, because it's how it ends up a lot of times.
Yep, in most court settlements, there's a clause that's agreed to where they can't release what the settlement was for. Sometimes you'll have people who break their NDAs, but it's pretty rare. There's usually harsh penalties for that. Mm-hmm. So, all right. Our next community topic is E3 is dead, ... for good, ?
Yeah, so this one is a few weeks old now. And essentially, nobody was signing up for E3 this year. And we were, a month and a half, 2 months out. So they just called it. Yeah. I think the last big one was like Ubisoft announced that they weren't going to do a thing there. Microsoft had already said they weren't going to do anything. Sony wasn't going to do anything. Nintendo hasn't been there for years. So they just said no E3 this year. And it's been really quiet on if there's going to be one next year, which is very telling.
I don't think there's going to be. The consensus that makes the most sense to me is that, I mean, we had been seeing it for years, even prior to COVID, but COVID was the excuse the push that the companies did, the big companies. E3 this feels like your major companies have pulled the ladder up behind them. I don't like E3. I have not liked E3 for a long time, and
especially after we had to start covering it, right?
Yeah, and
Because,
as time has marched forward, the reach of social media has gotten larger and larger. But like, there is something to be said for having like the big trade show that draws a whole bunch of attention and puts eyes. People who otherwise would have no other way to find your game, puts eyes on it. And this feels like all of the major developers taking the opportunity to pull the ladder up behind them.
I mean, COVID really showed that they could move to their own digital platform and do their own thing. I mean, we do still have Summer Game Fest, and that's been getting bigger and bigger with smaller publishers.
Is Summer Game Fest, does Jeff Keighley do that one as well? Okay.
And while Xbox is there, it's definitely not the only one there. I'm looking at their website right now. So it feels more inclusive. It's not just, the big... okay. I should say that E3 isn't or wasn't, I guess we should use past tense. E3 wasn't just the big trade show or big events that we saw online. It was also the show floor that the smaller developers could handle and be there. But it was still extraordinarily expensive because it was in, what was it, Los Angeles?
Yeah.
And you're looking at tens of thousands of dollars for it even before you even start tackling, just the money that you're using at the trade show itself. To fly a crew out to set up stuff. It just was too expensive for that sort of thing. And having Summer Game Fest where you could do stuff online as well.
Yeah.
Is more inclusive. I mean, it's still going to be, the bigger groups, but right.
Yeah. I'm not sad to see E3 gone. The only thing that I'm kind of sad for in that process is, like, I'm sure that there are people who have lost their jobs because of this. And I feel for those people. This to parrot a phrase that's as old as time, like, the economy is tough right now and being unemployed is not good. So I do feel for the regular people who are going to lose their jobs because of this. But the show itself, I won't miss. But, just to sort of bring light to the other side, I've heard the argument made a couple times, like I said before, like, this feels like the major companies in the gaming space pulling the ladder up behind them.
Well, also, whenever COVID really hit, the major companies cut back big time on their teams that they would send out to these trade shows.
Yeah.
So these jobs have been pretty much gone for like 2 years now.
True, but I'm sure that there have been more that will be lost as a result of this cancellation.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that we're looking at the developers and publishers saying, well, we don't really need these teams right now because we're doing fine with digital direct events or hitting Game Fest, which it's its own different thing. Which I'm not 100% sure how Game Fest is structured. I didn't really pay attention to it last year, outside of watching some of the indie stuff on Steam. So I'm gonna have to pay more attention to it this year. But the teams that were handling stuff like E3 have just been laid off, and it takes time for these publishers to decide that they want to do stuff like this again. Never mind the fact that some of them are just happy doing their own thing now. The Microsoft Directs, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a lot cheaper because you're probably looking at millions upon millions to figure out a new way for a car to appear on stage for the next Forza game.
Right. 100% correct on that one. Yeah, you're not having to do that. But I mean, it's cheaper. in general. I mean, yes, you still have to pay a bunch of people to do a bunch of stuff, but you get to cut out as much, all the travel. You get to cut out the expense of actually being on the show, paying to be on the show floor, all of that. You get to save on all that cost.
Yeah, and Summer Game Fest is an all digital event, so I was right on that one. It is going to be cheaper for them to just do a digital thing through that.
Yep, and for digital events too, like you only have to do one thing. You can make a trailer, and then you can use it for all of your digital events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the real thing for E3 being dead is how are they going to leak all the press info a third time, right?
They'll find a way. Somebody will do it. They'll go over to an alternate dimension where E3 is still around and get all of that data somehow. So, okay.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to find a way to just focus on Summer Game Fest.
Yeah. When it gets closer to time, we'll figure that out. So, okay. Arc, our next article, Arc 2 is delayed, so they're turning off Survival Evolves official servers and charging $50 a remaster for a remaster.
Oh no, it's more than that now.
Right, this is the title from last week, but go ahead and tell how much more.
Now it's essentially, well, in theory, double, because originally the remaster was going to be bundled with Arc 2, but now they've split the remaster from Arc 2, so you're buying the remaster, then you're buying Arc 2, which, why are they making I don't know how there's a single fan of this game.
There's quite a few fans of this game.
I don't get it. This might be the maybe I'm old for this year. I don't get how people defend this game. I don't get it. This is the survival game that sold full-priced expansions during early access. I don't get it. I'm old.
Yeah. I've played Arc, and I like it okay enough.
I have it through I think a Humble Bundle somewhere.
It was on Game Pass. It might still be on Game Pass, but it was for a while, and then they gave it away on Epic, and it's probably been in bundles and other stuff. Like
I have it on Steam, so it was in a bundle somewhere.
Yeah. It's fine. It's neat to, it's a survival game. One of the ones that you go from prehistoric times to sci-fi stuff with dinosaurs. And you know what? The dinosaurs are cool. I'll give them that. Dinosaurs are always fucking cool. But I don't get it either.
So, the big thing for this is that they're turning off the official servers. While it doesn't disable the ability to play on personal servers, it makes things a lot tougher, especially on the peasants. So essentially, from what I understand, if you wanted to host, you have to set up a laptop if you're on console, and go into that now, because especially the console version, Arc does something weird with hosting local games. They have a tether, so that people cannot get too far away from the host. And while it's adjustable, if you expand it out too far, the game gets glitchy. Or I guess I should say glitchier, because that's one of the things I always heard about Arc, is that it's a little buggy. Just slightly. So you're really wanting to run some sort of dedicated server, and that's the main onus on the official servers, but because those are shutting down now. Oh, right.
Yeah. It's still early days, but this feels like a pretty big, Dick Move of the Year contender award for me as well.
Oh, definitely. Especially since they now unbundled it, so we don't know what the price of Arc 2 is going to be at launch, and if it's going to be early access or what. But let's be honest here, right? There's not a chance in hell that it's going to be anything but a full price title.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it's early access. Hell, if it's early access, you might even see an expansion pack or two before it's released. Because, hey, they did it before. And also all that expansion content that you bought. Oh boy, right?
Yeah, sucks. But developers gonna develop. Capitalists gonna capitalism.
Mm-hmm. I, I just think I'm old. I don't get why people are so defending of this game, or is it just the sunk cost fallacy? I paid
It's
I paid my money, so I must defend them.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the sunk cost fallacy. At least I think, anyways. So yeah, there you go.
Two old
Um,
men not understanding dinosaurs. Two dinosaurs not understanding the dinosaur game.
right. So our final topic of the night: Monster Energy targets indie game and latest trademark lawsuit.
And more.
Yeah, and more.
Because this is another one that, because we didn't get a chance to touch it last week, we get the update where they're going after two other games that has Monster in the title. Two that you might know a lot more than. Hang on, looking for indie game that they're targeting. Dark Deception, Monsters, and Mortals. So they also are targeting Pokemon and Monster Hunter. And I'm pretty sure this is not a satire site because, right?
Yeah. I did hear that they were in fact going after Pokemon later. I don't know about Monster Hunter yet, but I would imagine that they are. If they're going after,
I mean, it's on this article.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm saying prior to the article,
Mhm.
but yeah, if you're gonna go after Pokemon, you'll go after anybody for this.
Good luck, right?
Yeah, good luck.
I mean,
Honestly, though, good. Like, go after them. Get your ass handed to you by an even bigger company. Let's set some more. Let's set some precedent that this is not acceptable behavior. Monster in I think it was the 80s. It might have been the 90s. Fell victim to this as well. There was a company called Monster. It was either Monster Instruments or Monster Strings. And they were a guitar company. And they tried to sue Monster Energy for the same thing, and they got beaten in the lawsuit, and it cost them so much money that they went bankrupt.
mm-hmm. Well, I'm just remembering. Okay, so one of my obsessions on YouTube is Larry Bundy Jr., and I'm just remembered one of his videos where he talked about the guy that went litigious crazy because he owned the word edge and would go after anybody that used the word edge in gaming or tech. And this feels very similar to that.
That was like The Edge from...
Yeah.
Oh, shit. What band is that? Did you say? And I just didn't hear you.
No. No, this was a Chinese company that was going after Microsoft as well for the Edge browser.
Oh, shit. The Edge did this as well, as in what band is he from? U2. In the I think it was the early 2000s. It might have been the mid 90s. He went around suing a bunch of people for using the word edge for things because it was his name, and he said that he owned the trademark on it.
Well, the one I'm thinking of, not just a Chinese company going after Microsoft, was Tim Lindell. Because he filed a trademark over Edge in 2009. He claimed ownership of the mark Edge, which dated back to a PC gaming studio established in the 1980s and widely known and widely resented, but lurked beneath the waves, unchallenged for many years. I'm reading a Kotaku article, by the way. It's partly a reason why Soul Calibur's predecessor took the name Soul Blade in the West rather than Soul Edge. In 2009, the removal of an iPhone game called Edge, demanded by Lindell, caused a huge stink. In the aftermath, Lindell was kicked off the board of International Game Developers Association. In 2010, he lost his U.S. trademark in the settlement of a suit brought by Electronic Arts. It's weird that EA is the good guys, right?
Well, broken clock is right twice a day.
Mm-hmm. So this is another case where somebody poked a bigger bear.
Yeah.
And this might be Monster Energy's time for it. Which part of this feels like it's Monster Energy trying to be, if you pardon the term, edgy,
Hey.
and using the idea that any publicity is good publicity. So, going after big gamer names, well, will put their shitty cough syrup tasting drink on the public eye some more. So, yeah, I mean, I really hope that they get slapped down, but that's more because they're being dicks about it.
Yeah. Genuinely, I feel like this is an extremely spurious lawsuit. Because, like, the whole basis of the suit, at least that I have seen, is like, oh, people will confuse our two brands. It's like, bitch, no, they won't. Everybody knows what a video game is and what an energy drink is.
And I'm pretty sure nobody's going to confuse Monster Energy drink with fucking Pikachu.
Yeah.
I mean, Monster Hunter is not as popular, but I'm pretty sure nobody's going to think, Monster Hunter, is that about, trying to find energy drinks? This is just utterly ridiculous. And it might be my go-to for, dick move of the year.
Yeah. Fair enough. There's ammunition here for that.
I just don't see, when was Monster Energy originally produced? Because is Pokemon older than that?
No, Monster Energy was developed in either the 1970s or the 1980s.
That's 2002.
What's 2002?
Monster beverage was now. I'm trying to find when it was actually originally released.
I remember in one of my podcasts, it was Monster versus Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
And Monster as a company, or like the idea for Monster Energy drink dates back to post World War II. I think it's post World War II Japan, and it became a thing in, I want to say, the 80s, like a widespread thing. Although I suppose it's possible that it's like
Wikipedia keeps throwing back 2002 when the actual energy drink was created, not the company itself.
Yeah. So it's possible that there was a predecessor. I mean, it's probable there was a predecessor that I'm just not remembering.
Yeah, the line of energy drinks was launched in 2002, so...
Okay.
Color me crazy, but I remember Pokemon before this.
You're right. You got me on that one. I have my timeline wrong.
Yeah, the company is older than 2002, but the actual line of energy drinks, named Monster, was launched in 2002. So, yeah. I mean, if anything, Pokemon could argue this one. And I think Monster Hunter as well.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to stop reading up the company history of the Monster Corporation.
Okay, Monster Hunter originally came out in 2004. So it's all up to Pokemon. It's all up to the Pokemans.
Which the Pokemans did release in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember playing on the school bus in high school. I had long commutes, what can I say?
Right.
So, yeah. Monster Energy.
Yep.
Come at me, bro.
I do like Monster Energy, too. They've got one of the best selections of low or no carb beverages.
Like I said, fuck Monster Energy.
Yeah, fuck them. I'll do without. I won't die.
I got coffee. So that's my energy.
Yeah. Rage, how can people send us stuff? These were all Community Corner articles. How can people submit stuff?
Minus Resident Evil.
Right.
Although I have a feeling that might have been, upcoming. You could contact us at vtlpodcast@gmail.com. You could tweet us vtlpodcast on the Twitter, or you can drop by the Discord, which you can find a link to that over at vtlpodcast.podbean.com.
Nice. So, hey, Rage, why don't you hit them with your socials?
Well, I've been Caffeine Rage. Maybe someday I'll tweet again over at Gaming with CR, but with all the shit going on with Twitter, I just don't want to touch it these days. I send my lurk, and even then I feel a little dirty about it. And also, I'm just waiting for Elon Musk to burn it the rest of the way to the ground. Or, just turn off a random server and just break everything beyond repair.
Don't worry, guys. I've got this. I can do some maintenance.
Yeah, fucking nitwit.
You know, Elon Musk is in Iron Man 2. I didn't realize that, but we've been watching the Marvel movies with my kid for the first time. We watched Iron Man 2 the other day. Elon Musk is there.
Mm.
And this would have been like the late 2000s. So, I mean, he was still rich and famous, but not as rich or as famous.
And didn't have as much of a cult behind him as he does now.
Yeah.
He has that kind of Steve Jobs energy in all the extremely bad ways.
Yeah. I can see that. I hadn't thought about it that way, but you're right.
Minus the turtleneck. Well, if you wish to be my friend on Steam after we get off our segue, you can do so. I'm Caffeine Rage over there, and you've been?
I've been me, also known as Jared. If you want to find me, you can do so at Twitter at JMA4707. You can find me on Twitch sometimes, running a tabletop series for Twitch over at twitch.tv/Runicarts. And then if you want to be my friend on Discord or on Steam, JArthur4707.
Woo!
Woo!
As I clear my throat and scroll back up, once again, you can contact us, VGL Podcast, with your latest voicemails, game-related topics. Tweet us VGL Podcast on the Twitter until that burns to the ground, because I am still watching that.
Yep.
Or you can drop by the Discord, which you can find linked once again over at vglpodcast.podbean.com. Or if you wish to spread the love, you can find us on your podcatcher of choice. And it would also help if you rate us up on that, because, right?
Yeah, rate us. 5 stars. You love us. We're almost as good as sex. Almost.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you haven't tried.
I have tried. One day.
In a moment of weakness, right?
In a moment of strength.
Pardon me.
You're all good.
Once again, our lovely patrons have made this madness possible. You can find out more about that over at patreon.com/VGLpodcast. Our intro and outro is On the Ground by Kevin McLeod. You can find his work over at compydeck.com. And
as always, as this lovely music starts to roll across my voice. Bye-bye now.
see ya.
Bye-bye.